Here is the pattern from the Angelo Walters Quilt Along, and I just thought I'd take a minute to break the pattern down a bit more. I'm seeing some people in Facebook that it is a hard pattern to kind of get the groove of, and especially to get equal distances between all those lines. So what I'd like to do is suggest to start with a graph paper. So if I'm doing the lines that are going up, I'm just going to make little markers for myself to know to kind of hit them along the way before I go to some plain paper or a whiteboard. And so this shape is a simple S shape. It goes around and back. And so sometimes just practicing the one side of it first is really helpful. So it goes around and back. And because I'm using grid paper, it actually spaces itself out. So if I was to do the next one without the marker, it would go like that. So to get the full shape of the serpentine, I'm going to trace my original line, go up, and then I am going to come back along the same way. I'm going to go up to my line, I'm going to trace it, go up, I'm going to go around and down. Goes up to the next one, I'm going to trace it, goes around and down. So each time I'm just going to trace it and it follows the same pattern so that I've got part of it done. Coming back is fairly easy. And so it's helpful to do this line horizontally also. And so again, I'm just going to mark my grid every couple of squares to give myself a pattern. I'm going to do the S shape around at the corner there, it turns. I'm going to go around and back. However you say it, sometimes having words help with the flow. And then for the full pattern, I'm just going to trace my original one, go further along, and come back. And trace the original one, go a little bit further, and come back. And so I'm basically putting a line in the middle. And then once you've done that, it might be easy to now think about it as a whole shape. And because you've already thought about the spacing, and the graph helps a little bit with that, your lines will become better spaced. So if we take a look again at Angela's serpentine pattern here, we can see that the line goes around and down and back up again. So tracing it certainly helps. Making on grid paper also helps. And then the third step that really helps is making a setup like a line designer so that the pen looks similar in place to a needle, and I'll show you that next. We'll practice the serpentine shape. So I have a setup, a line designer setup, so that the pen that's here, the marker that's here, acts as a needle. So I just have it attached here to an arm, and it holds its place very well. So when we think about the serpentine shape, let's start at one spot and think about that S, or backwards S, however you want to look at it, and it goes up to the line. Follows the line about a 1/4 inch, dips down and around. It follows the line, it stops, it goes up again, it follows around, dips down, and comes up to the line. Again, we're going to go down, around, and follow the line. So this is kind of like an S curve. Again, going slow helps at the beginning. to think about what that shape is in your mind, and moving the board here in place of the material gives us the feeling of what it might be when we're quilting. So just like we take a look at the vertical side, let's just take a look of what that might look like horizontally. So I'm just going to start at the bottom. I'm going to do that S curve around and back, follow up about 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to do the same shape down here. And when we do this enough, we get the feeling of what the shape looks like when we're actually moving the material and not the pen. And once we move to the sewing machine, it becomes a lot smoother as the sewing machine is much more stable. But trying it both in the vertical and horizontal helps with this pattern.